It's my great privilege to join in paying tribute to this year's Chief Roughneck, Deemer True. I want to thank U.S. Steel for hosting this event, and I appreciate the invitation to send this message. I'm glad to honor Deemer because he's a good friend, a fellow citizen of Wyoming, and someone I've respected for many, many years. Today, you're giving him an award that has been presented every year for more than half a century. I know a number of the past honorees, and it's a roll call of incredible talent and accomplishment in a vital industry. And Deemer True, without question, belongs in that category. All of us are familiar with Deemer's vision, his work ethic, and his great personal integrity. As an entrepreneur and as a leader of the IPAA, he has become one of the best known and most admired leaders in the energy business. He thinks clearly, he speaks the truth plainly, and he keeps his word. Like all of you, I consider Deemer True to be the epitome of American entrepreneurship, optimism, and character. He's a most deserving recipient of this honor. So I take real pleasure in saluting Deemer this afternoon, and Lynn joins me in sending personal regards to his family and many friends who've gathered today. Have a wonderful time in Houston. And Deemer, my congratulations to you, sir.
Yeah, the old boy that blazed this cattle trail, Jesse B. Chisholm. He was a tough man.
Yeah, but John Wesley Hardin, he was mean.
What are we talking about, boss?
Tough men.
Like me?
I said tough men. I tell you, there was one cowboy that was tougher than Wyatt Earp, Jesse James, or Doc Holliday. Hell, any of them. Came out of Wyoming way. Had a gunslinger's name, True. Deemer True. Now, you don't name a boy Deemer unless you teach him how to shoot. And if you were a Democrat, he could shoot you between the eyes before you could say Hillary Clinton. There were a lot of legends around about Deemer. How he could ride, rope, brand cattle. How he loved cowboy poetry, which we all agreed was weird.
He takes pride in the fact that he writes cowboy poems.
Deemer's an enigma because he's an astute businessman, but if you put him on a horse, he is all cowboy.
To understand Deemer's management style, you really have to understand veterinarian humor, cowboy lure, team roping, calf branding, and just general concepts of animal husbandry.
He was a peace-loving man, but there was one place that Deemer always got into a fight. He called it the Hill. Now, I don't know where this hill was, but apparently it was run by a gang of thieves.
Bless Deemer's heart, he just can't bring himself to even say the word Democrat.
Now, one of his favorite poems is one called Reincarnation. And what he does is, and it's got all kinds of stanzas, so I'll just kind of paraphrase, but he takes a guy like Harry Reid, who is the worst socialist, anti-industry guy that we have in Congress, and Harry will die, and they'll put him in a box and they'll bury him, and then time will go by and flowers will grow on the grave, and here comes Deemer riding up on a horse, and the horse stops and eats these flowers that are on Harry's grave, and you know what happens when horses eat? Well, then they have to poop, so he poops on Harry's grave, and Deemer's up in the saddle, and he looks down and he points at that poop and said, "Well, Harry, you ain't changed much."
Now, Deemer was born into the oil business. Daddy was a famous oil man. When Deemer grows up, he drills oil wells, buys cattle ranches. Then he becomes a Wyoming state senator, then president of the Senate. Then Deemer goes to Washington. Democrats. Anyway, Washington had never seen the like of Deemer True.
I can't think of anybody better to have in Washington representing the industry than Deemer True.
He's a cowboy, and he talks cowboy, and he can say ain't and all that kind of stuff better than anybody, and he can say it in the White House. You know, he's not timid about where he talks, but he is part of his effectiveness is that he uses this kind of cowboy humor to get his points across.
The thing that's really interesting about Deemer is not the cowboy part, but that he can completely switch gears and be at home with the most, from the president and vice president all the way down.
Deemer has had a number of very important roles in his career, both chairman of IPAA, chairman of BIPAC, the transition team when Bush came on board. And all of those were important, and he did a fabulous job. But what I would tell you, I think his most important role continues to be what he does today. He continues to advocate for the industry. He continues to be a messenger for us. He continues to have relationships that can help all of us get access. And so I don't think while he's done an admirable job in all these, and they were important when he was fulfilling those roles, it is his ongoing and continuing leadership roles for the industry that continue to be of most importance to us.
Deemer, of course, is a very eloquent spokesman for our industry, and he really has spent a lot of time studying our issues to the point that he knows them cold, and he was extremely effective going before committees in the House and Senate.
Now, Deemer married Susie years ago, and you can tell by looking that he got the better end of the deal. This cowboy became the face of the independent oil man. Of course, we all agreed that it would have been a lot better if he had had a different face.
When he was in the Wyoming Senate, he tells a story where he was in this little town early one morning, sitting at a counter having a cup of coffee, and he noticed a guy over here to his right get up from his table and kind of come over and look at him a little bit, kind of from the side. And this guy said, "You're not." "No, you're not." Then he said, "Does anybody ever tell you that you look like that Deemer True guy that's in the Wyoming Senate?" And Deemer said, "Well, you know, people do come up there and say that." And this guy said, "Don't it make you mad?" I just loved it.
So Deemer True was awarded Chief Roughneck for watching the rear ends of the Independent for 35 years. Now, legend has it that he took his award, got up at 4 a.m. the next day, went back to the Hill to fight the Pelosi gang. See, he got this Pelosi into a room, read her his awful cowboy poetry, wouldn't stop till she agreed to offshore drilling. There's one mean cowboy.